Welcome to This Explainer. If you've ever walked a busy warehouse floor, you know exactly how quickly high-volume inventory can shift from a beautifully organized asset straight into operational chaos. Even in the most structured environments, little discrepancies slip in, they multiply, and eventually, they really threaten the bottom line. But today, we're going to transform that dynamic. We are unpacking the systems, strategies, and the exact methodologies used to turn complex warehouse operations into models of precise, profitable control.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Do you really know what's in your warehouse right now? I want you to start thinking of your inventory not just as, boxes on a dusty shelf or numbers floating around in a database. Think of them as actual, physical stacks of cash sitting in your facility. If you treat your inventory strictly as capital, because, let's be real, that is exactly what it is, it completely reframes how you look at your operations. It begs the question, do you know exactly where every single unit and therefore every single dollar is hiding? Because if you don't have total visibility out there on the floor, you are literally leaking money right under your own roof.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the highly structured journey we're taking today. We'll start with the cost of inventory chaos, then define what stock taking actually is, explore why it matters so much, walk through the 8-step process, look at methods and challenges, and finally wrap up with tech and best practices.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the cost of inventory chaos.
There are these silent killers draining your inventory accuracy every single shift. And the crazy part? It rarely starts with some massive system failure. It usually begins with just simple human errors. Think about a missed keystroke on the receiving dock. It seems harmless, right? But that single data entry mistake cascades. Then add in damaged goods that just get tossed aside without anyone logging them, messy product returns sitting unclassified in a corner, or plain old shrinkage and theft. When you neglect these operational traps, it forces supply chain managers into this terrible cycle of overstocking just to feel safe, which ties up massive amounts of working capital. Or, even worse, it leads to agonizing stockouts, where you literally can't fulfill an order because your system swore you had the product on hand. The physical reality just completely stops matching the digital records.
Moving right along to Section 2, what is stock taking?
So the crucial point here is how we fix those compounding errors. And we do that by relying on formal stock taking. Now, we have to separate this from just doing a quick visual spot check. Stock taking is the comprehensive, start-to-finish process of physically counting, verifying the condition, and ensuring that the actual quantity of products you have directly matches the records in your inventory management system. It's not just counting boxes. It's a full audit. You're confirming, investigating, and reconciling to ensure operational reality perfectly aligns with your digital ecosystem. It is, without a doubt, the ultimate truth-seeking mechanism for a warehouse.
Which brings us nicely to Section 3, why stock taking matters. Inventory usually represents a company's most massive physical asset, and managing it basically rests on 3 core pillars. First up is maintaining sales and purchase accuracy. Look, if your data is wrong, your forecasting models are going to be wrong. You'll end up making terrible capital allocation decisions, like ordering safety stock you absolutely don't need, or totally missing the boat on restocking a fast-moving item. Second, it aggressively detects inventory loss or shrinkage, whether that's from theft, damage, or supplier issues, and it does it quickly, allowing you to isolate the root cause before the bleeding gets worse. And third, it supports your financial reporting. Your inventory value dictates your balance sheet, your tax liabilities, and your insurance premiums. So stock taking is the anchor that keeps those high-stakes accounting reports rigorously honest and compliant.
All right, on to Section 4, the 8-step process. Let's get tactical and break down the exact methodology that highly structured businesses use to conquer their inventory audits. The first half is all about preparation and counting. Step 1 is planning. You've got to coordinate the timeline, identify specific zones, and gather your people. Step 2 is organizing your locations. This is huge. Freezing specific warehouse zones before the count and ensuring everything is aligned by SKU makes the actual audit infinitely faster. Step 3 is assigning your counting teams. And hey, here's a great pro tip. Implement blind counts. This is where the team actually doesn't know the expected system quantity. It totally prevents them from just sort of echoing the expected number, forcing a true, honest physical count. Then, Step 4 is the physical counting itself, working efficiently through aisles, top to bottom and left to right, so absolutely nothing gets skipped.
Let's move to the second half and see how this builds, because once the counting stops, the critical work really begins: reconciliation. Step 5 is securely recording those results. Step 6 is the moment of truth, comparing your physical count against your system records. For instance, if your system says you have 1,200 units of a specific SKU, but your physical audit only finds 1,150, well, you've got a hard 50-unit discrepancy. That immediately triggers step 7, investigating that discrepancy. Was the stock misplaced in another aisle? Was there an unrecorded return? Was it theft? You have to perform a root cause analysis right then and there. Finally, step 8 is updating the inventory records so you can unfreeze operations and get back to business with perfectly clean, accurate data.
Next up, Section 5, Methods and Challenges.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it contrasts two entirely different philosophies of warehouse management. On one side, we have traditional periodic stock-taking. This is where you verify all your inventory at once, usually on a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis. The downside? Well, it usually requires pausing all warehouse operations. It's a massive operational disruption that costs you money every single hour those doors are closed. On the other side, you have perpetual stock-taking. This relies on tight integrations and modern software to continuously verify and update inventory levels in real time, literally the exact moment stock is scanned in or out. It's this beautiful, frictionless flow of data that practically eliminates the need for those massive operational freezes.
And within those broader systems, you have highly targeted methods. Cycle counting is an absolutely brilliant strategic play for high-volume facilities. Instead of auditing the whole warehouse, you verify small rotating sections on a daily or weekly schedule. This dramatically reduces the workload and spreads it out over time without ever having to freeze your operations. Spot checking, on the other hand, is your tactical defense. This is when you reserve your energy strictly for random, unscheduled audits of specific high-value or highly volatile goods. It's a really focused measure to ensure your most critical, expensive assets are always exactly where they should be.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, Tech and Best Practices.
Okay, I want you to consider this metric, 5x. Businesses that adopt digital inventory solutions complete their stock audits up to 5 times faster than those relying on old-school clipboards and spreadsheets. 5 times faster! I mean, when you strip away the dead time spent manually keying in numbers, cross-referencing messy paper logs, and hunting down transcription errors, the efficiency gains are just staggering. That is the leverage you get when mobile apps, cloud platforms, and automated discrepancy detection are all working perfectly together.
And this brilliantly illustrates how every traditional challenge out there is easily solved by modern best practices. If your team is just drowning in time-consuming manual checks that halt fulfillment, the solution is to implement continuous cycle counts. If you're constantly dealing with human errors like duplicated entries or completely missed bins, well, barcode scanning systems completely eliminate that manual guesswork. If you're navigating a super complex structure across multiple locations, modern inventory management software like StockCount, for example, seamlessly handles the live tracking and automated discrepancy alerts for you. And if your audit results are continually unreliable, it almost always comes back to training. Equipping your staff with these modern tools and making sure they actually know how to use them builds a real culture of absolute accuracy.
So we've explored the silent, compounding costs of discrepancies, mapped out that rigorous 8-step auditing framework, and seen how modern digital tools can literally accelerate the entire operation by 5 times. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. If accurate inventory truly begins with effective stock taking, what is the true hidden cost of your uncounted stock right now? It really is time to stop guessing and start knowing. Rethink your operational flows, leverage that continuous data, and establish total control over your warehouse. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. I hope you're leaving fully ready to optimize your operations.